Welcome to Watch Mojo, and today we're going on a journey through the charming and hilarious world of Young Sheldon. These videos are from our sister channel, Miss Mojo, and we're starting with the show's funniest moments.
Such emotional growth was worthy of a majestic bubble beard.
Welcome to Ms. Mojo, and today we're counting down our picks for the times Young Sheldon made us laugh out loud.
The only sin in mathology is being stupid.
Number 10, Sheldon takes on NASA. When Dr. Ronald Hodges visited a high school science class, he didn't expect to get caught up in a logistics debate with a student in the front row. Then again, maybe Mr. Givens was just projecting his bitterness about his former roommate's success by not giving a heads up about Sheldon.
That's a cute idea, but it's not technically possible.
Why not?
Well, it's hard to explain. The math is pretty complicated.
Perhaps I could help you with it.
Anyway, this only fuels Sheldon's interest in physics, if only to prove the engineer wrong. Seething with anger, Sheldon goes as far as attempting to remortgage his family home just to make his point.
No, the house isn't in my name. I'm 9. We've established this. I do prepare the taxes for my parents, and if we tighten our belts, we'll have sufficient equity for the loan.
He gets so caught up in his stubbornness that he even develops an ulcer. Eventually, Sheldon impresses the NASA engineer, only to realize he's ahead of his time.
Your math is theoretically correct. We don't have the technical capability to execute it.
So I'm ahead of my time.
Well, it would appear so.
All right, call me when you catch up.
Fortunately for Elon Musk. Number 9, Missy, Queen of Sass. If sass was measured like IQ, we reckon Missy could surpass her family combined.
Tomorrow at lunch, would you mind sitting with your brother?
Don't do it, Georgie.
Stay out of this.
I ate with him in 2nd grade. It really hurt my social life.
She never holds back on saying what's on her mind, no matter how savage it might be. In the earlier seasons, her sassiness is as hilarious as it is adorable, and quickly cemented her as a standout character.
So, kids, we have a little family business to discuss.
You're pregnant?
No.
We're getting a puppy?
No.
I'm not sure I care.
As she grows up, her sting only gets stronger, although it never stops being amusing. While Sheldon is perhaps her favorite target, no one's safe from her biting words.
Okay. I don't have a donkey, but if I did, I'd take my ass out of here.
Indeed, most scenes featuring Missy Cooper are guaranteed to make you gasp and laugh out loud in equal measure. Look, she calls it as she sees it, and we love her for it.
Pastor Jeff's wife is so much prettier than him. It's like Barbie married a turtle.
Number 8, the Battle of the Brisket. As far as mother-in-law and son-in-law relationships go, Connie and George's is affectionately antagonistic.
You're a horrible person.
What'd it say?
I want to know what it said. Me too.
Just eat.
Can I read it? You are a horrible person.
Ain't I?
Their banter brings plenty of entertainment, but perhaps nothing tops the brisket incident. George tries to convince Connie to share her recipe, but she playfully rebuffs him at every turn.
Get the paper before I change my mind.
You're gonna do it to him again, aren't you?
I kinda have to.
This propels George to take drastic measures to hunt down the secret recipe. What follows is pure hilarity, as Connie sends him on a wild cross-state goose chase for completely unrelated ingredients, although they apparently make a great cup of joe.
And what does it do to the brisket?
Oh, I have no idea.
Then why did you send George all the way to New Orleans?
Well, they don't sell this around here.
George's reaction when he figures out he's been duped is just too funny. Although this tale has a happy ending, there's a good lesson learned. Don't mess with Meemaw.
You broke into my home and tried to steal it.
Oh, George!
You told her we went over there.
Oh, George Jr.
I didn't say nothing. I was cool.
I am loving this.
Number 7, just Billy. After 12 seasons of The Big Bang Theory, we believed that Billy Sparks was just another jerk who gave Sheldon a hard time. While that certainly seems to be the case in the Young Sheldon pilot, Billy is mainly shown as this lovable goofball who is maybe a few eggs short of a dozen if you catch our drift.
Billy,
What?
You are Firebeak.
Okay.
So what do you do?
I'm Firebeak.
His cluelessness and innocence often result in side-splitting moments, usually delivered with impeccable comic timing. Every time he shows up, we can't help but grin, knowing he'll say something outrageously funny, and he never disappoints.
She's like your child. You wouldn't let somebody eat your child.
Does my child taste like chicken?
Billy!
Missy!
Sure, his, let's call it naivete might annoy some, Sheldon, but we adore him for it even more.
I have a nightlight that looks like Spider-Man, but I don't turn it on.
Go ahead.
Why don't you turn it on?
I'm afraid of spiders.
Yeah, seems like a good place to stop.
Number 6. Sheldon gets the family in a loaf of trouble. Few people can make a fuss about the taste of bread and almost get their whole family exiled. However, most people are not Sheldon Cooper. His aversion to change escalates rapidly when a minor alteration in his family's favorite bread brand leads them to being wrongly accused of supporting communism.
My kids love this country. Isn't that right, Sheldon?
Yes. Although, in all fairness, the Social Security system is a form of...
You love this country.
I love this country.
Oh, did we mention that this episode falls somewhere within the Cold War timeline? Anyway, the family goes to extreme lengths to clear their name. Connie especially has an entertaining way of showing her neighbors just how patriotic she is.
To the prairies, to the ocean, white with gold. God bless America.
It really is an absolute riot. Eventually, Sheldon comes around to the new taste, but as far as his family is concerned, he's still toast.
Still not talking to me, huh? Well, I'll check back in tomorrow.
Number 5. Doctors Sturgis and Linkletter get hammered. Doctors Sturgis and Linkletter offer one of the most hilarious rivalries on Young Sheldon, whether that's in the professional realm or vying for Connie's attention.
All right, if we're both going to pursue her, let's lay down some ground rules.
Fair enough.
And my ginger snaps are moist and delicious.
Yeah, keep telling yourself that.
However, it turns out that they're even funnier when they're getting along. When Dr. Sturgis rebukes Dr. Linkletter's attempts to steer him back to academia, the pair end up sharing a drink on a park bench.
Puts me in mind of Camus' The Myth of Sisyphus.
Sisyphus.
That's the guy.
Their intoxicated introspection soon turns into a sing-along, and it couldn't be funnier. While Dr. Sturgis drunkenly makes his way to Connie's home, Dr. Linkletter takes a power nap on a park bench, only to be woken up by a cop. If this is an indication of their potential friendship, we need to see them on the same side more often.
Lollipop, lollipop, ooh lolly, lollipop, lollipop,
Lollipop, ooh lolly, lollipop, 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 ooh lolly, lollipop, lollipop.
Bum, bum, bum.
Number 4. Den of Sin. In Season 5, Connie becomes the owner of a booming laundromat business, or so Mary thinks. Little does she know, it's actually a front for a thriving gambling operation, and Georgie is in on it too.
He didn't listen to us then. He's not going to listen now.
So we do nothing.
We let him make his own mistakes.
That just sounds like another way of saying we do nothing. I'm gonna go down there.
Hey, that's a mistake I'm going to let you make.
Mary learns the truth from a church newsletter, which is pretty ironic since she suggested advertising there. The real fun starts when Mary tries to confront Connie, only to be left even more frustrated than before.
Oh, please, it's not a den of sin. Although that is a great name. Den of Sin. That would get some butts in seats.
Meanwhile, in another funny storyline, President Hagemeyer sends Sheldon on an aimless mission to track down the fictitious Grand Chancellor. However, it's Mary's several hilarious attempts to keep her family away from this den of sin that steals the spotlight.
Because I am your mother and it is wrong.
Well, I'm working for your mother and she says it's okay.
And I answer to a higher power and he says it's also wrong, so I win. Let's go.
Number 3. Awkward family dinner. Meeting the parents is always a little awkward. Meeting the parents when you're carrying their 17-year-old son's unborn child is a whole other level of uncomfortable.
And thank you for bringing Mandy into our family and watch over this child as he or she grows and becomes a God-fearing Baptist. Amen.
Amen.
Smooth.
Indeed, Mandy's first encounter with the Coopers is intense. She and Georgie argue about their future, while Mary insists that the child be raised as a Baptist.
I'm having a baby. I don't need to marry another one.
I know I'm young now, but think about it. When you're a dried up old lady, I'll be your hot trophy husband.
Meanwhile, the twins add to the hilarity by speculating why they've been banished from this family dinner while dining with the Sparkses next door. Back at the Coopers, dinner descends into chaos when Mary and George start arguing about their relationship.
I want you to admit that this marriage hasn't exactly been a bed of roses.
Wake up! No marriage is a bed of roses.
Well, then I guess we nailed it.
I guess we did. And that kid is going to be Baptist.
Connie chimes in with the last laugh, cutting through the tension with a sharp-witted quip.
So, Mandy, glad you came?
Number 2, the sin of mathology. Sheldon isn't a fan of religion, especially when it clashes with science.
The first day had just begun.
So before the Big Bang?
There was no Big Bang. There was only the word.
Was the word kaboom?
However, when Mary freaks out over the game Dungeons and Dragons, she sends the twins to Sunday school. Of course, this backfires when Sheldon decides to learn about several religions, instead of following the path of righteousness his mom thought she'd steered him onto.
Pastor Jeff encouraged me to approach religion scientifically, so it only makes sense to enlarge my database.
No, your database is Baptist. That's all the data you need, Baptist data.
After some research and a wild dream, he creates his own belief system, mathology. He starts recruiting followers during his Baptist Sunday school, much to Pastor Jeff's dismay.
I'm starting my own religion.
I'm sorry, what?
I'm calling it mathology. It's based on a universal binary system.
That's terrific, Sheldon, but this is a Baptist Sunday school.
I know. I'm here to convert everybody.
Given the sole sin of mathology, we're surprised he even lets Billy join.
The only sin in mathology is being stupid.
Although perhaps successfully converting him would have been Sheldon's version of turning water into wine. Before we unveil our top pick, here are a few honorable mentions. Connie being a mother-cluckin' savage. She cooks up a hilarious plan to crack Sheldon out of his existential crisis.
Apparently, I can't know what here is. So maybe I could just set her on your bed.
Yeah, okay. I'll get dressed.
Make it snappy.
Sheldon curses. Well, kind of. Meemaw does not approve.
Poodle poo!
Okay, somebody's got to teach this kid to swear. It's embarrassing.
A bad president. We also didn't realize the president got so involved in marital disputes.
Maybe you should go across the street and apologize.
I can't do that.
Why not?
Because if I do, it sets a bad precedent.
What's Nixon got to do with it?
What?
You said bad president.
Sheldon's a stickler for rules. Unfortunately for him, his dorm mates think he's better stuck to a wall.
I don't need a pen and paper to take names. You, what's your name? You know I'll find out, and there will be consequence. Hey, what are you...
Connie extinguishes Pastor Jeff's self-righteousness. The power of the fire extinguisher compels him to back off.
Let's just see what the people think about this.
Yeah.
Number 1, Mary chases the Roadrunner. We don't think we've seen a funnier sight than Mary chasing Sheldon around the garage, and we think Connie would agree.
You can't run away from me forever.
I don't have to do it forever, just till you get tired.
Mary, I'm gonna run go get my video camera. Don't get you until I get back.
This is not a joke. Sheldon, get over here.
But hang on, how did we get here? Well, as any Big Bang fan knows, Sheldon's a notorious germaphobe, and with flu season in full force, it will take more than a graffitied face mask to keep him safe. He seals himself in a germ-proof hedge of protection, armed with everything he might need.
Just when you think he's gonna zig, you get a big old zag.
It's ridiculous. I'm gonna take it down.
No, you can't force him out of a phobia.
What do? We can't live in there.
Well, actually, he can.
When he refuses to come out, Mary goes in, leading to a chase that couldn't be more hysterical. Perhaps Mary fails to catch her Roadrunner, but we're as tickled as Connie watching her try.
Get over here! Get over here! Sheldon Lake Cooper! Get here! Right now!
I think I'm gonna wet myself.
Which Young Sheldon moment made you say Bazinga?
When you shake it, there's a rattling sound as if nuts are inside.
Fine.
Bazinga.
From Young Sheldon's most uproarious moments to its most touching scenes we go, as we're going to highlight some of the more heartwarming instances on the show.
Oh no.
It'll pass. Just get some sleep.
Welcome to Ms. Mojo, and today we're counting down our picks for the top 10 heartwarming family moments on Young Sheldon.
I'll be better, I promise.
I know you will. I love you too.
For this list, we'll be looking at the best time Sheldon or his family showed us all how sincere and wholesome they can really be. What's your favorite tender moment from Young Sheldon? Number 10, Mitten Off. If there's one thing we've learned about Sheldon over the years, it's that he's not a fan of physical contact. During the pilot episode of Young Sheldon, this phobia was reinforced by the appearance of his younger self wearing mittens at dinner.
Georgie, did you wash your hands before dinner or even this week?
None of your business.
Hence the mittens.
Things change, however, when Sheldon's father speaks to him about rocking the boat at school. George shares his story of being fired from a job for doing the right thing, and tells Sheldon how he's still angry and sad about what happened.
Just do yourself a favor, okay? Go to school tomorrow and mind your own business. All right?
At dinner that evening, Sheldon takes off one of his mittens as the family prays, and holds his dad's hand for the first time.
That was the first time I held my father's hand.
It's a lovely moment showing us Sheldon's true heart and warmth for his father. Number 9, talking to an old friend. When audiences were first introduced to Meemaw in Young Sheldon, we got the gist of just how spunky a senior she really is.
All right, Missy!
Humiliate that boy!
Never without some snarky comeback line or an opinion to share, Connie is one of the most entertaining characters on the show. Still, as snappy as she can be, fans saw a whole other side of her when she went off to visit her late husband's grave.
If you hadn't died, I wouldn't be in this situation, so this is on you.
Discussing her dating life with his headstone, we watch her try to cover up her grief and ache for his companionship with little sarcastic jokes.
So now I have these 2 guys in my life, and I know that might sound like bragging, but at my age, if you were single and not hooked to an oxygen tank, you gotta swat them away.
It's one of the few times viewers ever get to see the side of Connie, and it's nice to know there's a lot more underneath those gray locks than killer wit. Number 8, a grammar lesson. Missy needs help with a grammar assignment, and with no one else around, she's stuck with asking Georgie.
You're asking me? I don't understand my own homework.
I know, but you're all I got.
Although neither of them are great academics, the two manage to make their way through the assignment.
Georgie, I don't think this is a sentence.
I think you're right.
Now I just have to fix it.
Put a verb in there, girl.
Now that alone is certainly sweet, but the real moment comes later. A note slides under Georgie's door, and it's Missy's marked grammar assignment. She earned full marks, and he smiles proudly before pinning it to his corkboard. Of course, the sibling banter through the door just adds a tad of necessary levity and realism to an otherwise sweet moment.
Did you cry when you saw it?
No,
Why not?
because it ain't that big a deal.
Number 7, Rocket Man. In the earlier seasons, it was pretty easy for those who didn't know Sheldon to dismiss him as just another little kid. One prime example is how a NASA employee belittles him during his guest presentation in Sheldon's class.
If you want to save money, why don't you land the booster rockets instead of letting them drop in the ocean?
That's a cute idea, but it's not technically possible.
So, when the tables turn and Sheldon figures out how to solve an impossible problem, and NASA refuses to acknowledge it, George packs the family in a car and heads straight to Houston.
You and me are gonna give those space monkeys a little talking to.
Older Sheldon may have said a lot of terrible things about his dad, but between his insistence on taking them to NASA and the car ride home, we get to see how, flawed as he might be, this is a man who's willing to go the distance for his son.
Dad,
Yeah,
thank you.
you're welcome.
Number 6, absence and fondness. A big part of Young Sheldon is watching the interdynamics between a young genius and his otherwise normal family.
Dad, can we afford a computer?
You do my taxes, what do you think?
Never mind.
With his twin sister lacking Sheldon's academic prowess, Missy would often argue about how Sheldon always seemed to get his way, and how annoying he was for it. But much like many other sibling pairs, their hearts surface in the worst of times. When Sheldon ends up in the hospital, Missy has trouble sleeping at night, especially with her twin's empty bed looming beside her. Watching her crawl into his bed feels like such a real thing to do, and the moment punctuates just how much she loves, cares for, and is worried about her brother. Number 5. Missy apologizes. During season 6 of Young Sheldon, Missy crossed the line of adolescent mischief when she stole her dad's truck and tried to run away.
I'm gonna be in so much trouble. Only if you go back.
Caught by her parents, she lost her TV, music, and friendship privileges for the foreseeable future. During a car ride home with her father, things take a drastic turn as heavy rain accompanies a tornado warning.
Dad, I'm scared.
It's okay. We're almost home.
Fearing the twister will take the car, the two get out and huddle down in a ditch while the storm passes. When it does, Missy finally breaks down and apologizes for everything she's done.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry for everything. I've been awful. I don't even know why. I really do love you and Mom.
It's a touching moment between father and daughter, showcasing exactly what familial love and forgiveness should look like. Number 4. Mr. Spock and Captain Kirk. George may know very little about Star Trek, but he certainly knew enough to help Sheldon when he was scared of flying.
It's okay to be scared. That's when you gotta dig deep and be brave.
Spooked by the safety demonstration highlighting what could happen while in the air, Sheldon retreats to the lavatory and won't leave it. Using what limited Trek knowledge he has, George reminds Sheldon that Mr. Spock wasn't afraid to fly around in space.
I'm not Mr. Spock.
No, but I've seen you pretend to be him.
He suggests Sheldon pretend he's Spock, and George, taking on the role of the captain, gently orders him back to his seat. It might be a bit unconventional, but it's also incredibly clever and an effective way of calming down his son.
Okay, Mr. Spock. Your first order is to return to your seat.
Aye, Captain.
Not to mention, it treats Sheldon with compassion and grace, two things that are incredibly helpful to someone who's in a panic. Number 3. Mr. President. He might be the coach of a perpetually losing team, but George certainly seems to inspire people. When Sheldon runs for class president, he's terrified of the idea of having to get up on stage and give a speech to the school.
Just thinking about it causes my bladder to misbehave.
Yeah, I've been there.
You have?
Knowing how worried he is, Sheldon's father shares how he too was scared of talking to his players the first time.
Then one day it dawned on me. I'm not just talking to football players. I'm talking to teenage football players. Most of them aren't listening to a word I'm saying.
That's an interesting perspective.
That's touching on its own, but then George goes a step further and highlights how brave Sheldon has been, being so young among a group of teenage kids in high school.
Everyone's older than you, everyone's bigger than you, but you keep at it, day after day. That's brave.
It's just enough to give him the courage he needs to tear down his opponent. Number 2. Georgie skips a date for Mandy. With the arrival of their daughter Constance, Georgie and Mandy's relationship has been a bit of a question mark.
And you don't have to get me anything. She's enough.
Glad you like her. I didn't save the receipt.
They aren't a couple, but the history there and the responsibility that comes with having a child together is unavoidable. Despite Mandy's insistence on Georgie continuing his dating life with Amber, the birth of their daughter shifts their relationship in a way Georgie never saw coming.
You're home early.
After breaking things off with Amber, he comes home to Mandy and insists he'd rather be with her and their daughter.
What happened?
Nothing. I just wanted to be here.
It's a beautiful, soft moment that shows how much Georgie has grown since the start of the show. Number 1. Best trip ever. With all of the heartfelt moments we've seen involving Sheldon's dad, we're convinced older Sheldon's view of his father was skewed by the later years.
I'll tell you a secret. Never understood how lightning works.
Didn't they teach you that in high school?
They probably did, but I got hit in the head a lot playing football.
Time and time again, George found ways to uplift young Sheldon when he needed it. Never was this more evident than when their visit to a shuttle launch was scuttled by bad weather. Knowing his son is disappointed, George uses science questions to distract Sheldon.
What causes the thunder?
It's a shock wave from particles heated to 10,000 degrees.
Interesting.
It all concludes with an even more heart-tugging moment as we hear older Sheldon express his love of that trip and how he never got to share that with his father before he passed away.
I never did get to see a launch in person, but that was the best trip I ever had.
It's all the proof we need to know how much he really loved his dad.
Without question, one of the highlights from the show's 7-season run is its impressive list of guest stars. See if you recognize any of these faces.
And I raised 3 little boys, which I understand you've been acting like.
Sounds like she can handle it.
Welcome to Ms. Mojo, and today we're counting down our picks for the most notable and memorable celebrity guest stars on Young Sheldon.
I am telling you, your boy's got a future in the tire business. Goodyear, Firestone, somebody's gonna scoop him up first round.
Number 20, Paul Fusco as Alf. Depending on your age, you may or may not even know who Alf is.
Dear Alf, I'm your #1 fan. I like you because you're an alien, but you're funny. Unlike my brother who's an alien, but just a jerk.
Alf, or Alien Life Form, as the acronym stood for, was an alien character from a late 1980s TV show of the same name. Living with a human family, Alf was perhaps the most extreme version of a fish out of water story ever told.
Take a look at me and tell me what you see. Just another pretty face.
Puppeteered by creator Paul Fusco, he appeared in a season 2 episode of Young Sheldon after Missy sends him a letter confessing her adoration for the Melmacian.
P.S. My favorite color is pink. What's yours?
What a cutie pie. Hey, Barbara, we got any more of those pink t-shirts with my face on them?
Though the character has occasionally appeared in other media since his show went off the air, this was a welcome surprise.
Oh, and get me some chicken nuggets, huh? Hello? Anybody out there? Apparently not.
Number 19, David Hasselhoff as himself. For 80s kids, he was Michael Knight and drove the coolest car in the world. If you were around in the 90s, you probably knew him as Mitch Buchanan, always running with his colleagues along the beaches of California. But David Hasselhoff's resume also includes a cameo as himself in Young Sheldon. During a season 4 episode, Georgie wants to put out an exercise video and gets the drama teacher Mr. Lundy to help him. The two part ways after a dispute, and Lundy seeks assistance from a much more prominent face in television, the Hoff.
Well, I've conquered television, music. I don't see why I couldn't add exercise videos to my empire. So you'll do it. You got the Hoff.
The tail end of the episode treats viewers to cowboy aerobics featuring the man himself. It's definitely something.
Who's ready to rustle up some muscles? Let's saddle up and ride.
Number 18, Will Sasso as Jim McAllister.
Hey, nice to meet y'all. Okay.
If you ever watched Mad TV during its heyday, you undoubtedly caught the talents of Will Sasso. A hilarious comedian and actor, Sasso appeared in 5 seasons as a regular and multiple other times as a guest star. He's also popped up on shows like How I Met Your Mother, Modern Family, and countless others.
Really? What do you do?
I own the tire shop.
Sasso added a slightly more reserved character to his repertoire when he popped up on Young Sheldon as Mandy's father, Jim.
So you're gonna marry my daughter?
If she'd stop saying no.
Well, that's something.
Jim?
As the owner of a local tire shop, he certainly makes an impression each time he's on screen. We wonder if he has anything to do with how Georgie ends up becoming the tire doctor.
I'm sure your wife will come around eventually.
Well, I'm hoping when she sees the baby, that ice cube in her chest might start to melt.
Number 17, Michael Trucco as Dusty.
Well, hello.
Huh.
Dusty.
That's not a name. That's a poorly kept house.
The Big Bang Theory may have featured a lot of geek culture, whereas Young Sheldon has tended to lean less on the nerd and more on the family aspects of Sheldon's life. As a result, some viewers might not have recognized Michael Trucco when he appeared in Mary's Fantasies.
I haven't seen you here before.
Well, I'm just passing through. Tonight I'm here tomorrow, who knows?
Sci-fi fans, however, would recognize Trucco immediately from his time on the 2004 Battlestar Galactica series. He also shares a special connection to the show's predecessor, having appeared as a guest star on it as well.
What do you have in mind?
I don't know. I was thinking maybe we take a walk. You could tell me more about your hopes and dreams.
Anyone remember Leonard's bromance with Dr. David Underhill? He's the reason Penny bought Leonard motorcycle lessons.
Your feelings are valid.
I don't know.
Number 16, Wendy Malick as President Hagemeyer. What do shows like Just Shoot Me, Star Trek Lower Decks, Hot in Cleveland, and Bubble Guppies all have in common? They all featured the talents of American actress Wendy Malick.
She'll be gone by the end of the day.
Great, just make it look like an accident.
No.
Having got her big break on Dream On and the aforementioned Just Shoot Me, she has been delighting audiences with her talents ever since.
I came here to make this school the Harvard of East Texas, not the... What's your least favorite school?
MIT. For poor Sheldon Cooper, Malick has appeared several times as Linda Hagemeyer. As the president of the college Sheldon is attending, she's tasked with keeping him happy enough so he'll stick around, while simultaneously doing anything she can to get under his skin. It's as fun as it sounds.
Okay, now get out of here. You have a lot of work to do.
Yes, ma'am.
It makes me thirsty.
Number 15, Melanie Lynskey as Professor Dora Erickson. Melanie Lynskey is one of those stars who has an undeniable talent, and she's impressed us on countless occasions.
Why didn't I just say something a year and a half ago?
Don't think about the past. Let's just think about from today on.
Many people will remember her as Rose, the woman who had an unhealthy obsession with Charlie on 2.5 Men. There's also her more recent work as Shauna on the acclaimed Yellow Jackets.
And the rest of us starved and scavenged and prayed for 19 months till they finally found us. And that's the end of the story.
Clearly, her resume boasts countless stage, film, and television appearances, and we never tire of watching her.
How come you didn't want to get out of bed this morning?
If I can't know it's real, what's the point?
You have the right words. You're just saying them wrong.
Her appearance on Young Sheldon further emphasizes her abilities, as she portrayed a philosophy teacher who causes the title character to question the very nature of his life and everything in it.
I don't understand.
Asking these questions is exciting. It's what gets me out of bed.
That's interesting.
That's no small task, yet she makes it look effortless.
Thank you.
I am happy to help.
Dr. Linkletter, I'm dropping your class and switching my major to philosophy.
What?
Number 14, Ming-Na Wen as Dr. Carol Lee.
Suggest we mount a radio telescope on the roof so that we could get a good read on the fluctuations in radiation.
Excellent.
She battled foes and made hard choices as Melinda May during her time on Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
It's our way to ward, so if you're going to do this, you need to win.
You suggesting I can't win?
I'm not saying you can't, but I know I can.
Meanwhile, in the Star Wars universe, she became Boba Fett's partner after initially being known as a famed assassin. She's also been the voice of countless characters, including Disney's iconic Princess Mulan. So after taking all of that on, who else could she possibly have to take on? The answer is, of course, Sheldon Cooper.
Gentlemen, I'm Dr. Carol Lee, director of the new Experimental Cosmology Center.
What makes you qualified to lead our project?
Yeah.
Well, I have a PhD in physics from Berkeley.
The university president calls her in to settle a dispute between Dr. Linkletter and Dr. Sturgis. Sheldon is caught in the middle as Wen's character, Dr. Carol Lee, helps calm the waters.
You want a trick? Go see David Copperfield.
How about I make you disappear?
Do I need to separate you? Or can we try to put our minds together for the advancement of science?
Number 13, McKenna Grace as Paige Swanson. McKenna Grace has been popping up on Young Sheldon ever since season 2.
I'm the youngest person in this class. That's funny.
As Paige Swanson, she has been a worthy adversary turned friend of Sheldon's as the show has progressed.
Do you ever wish you were just like everyone else?
Not at all.
Me neither. I love being smarter than everyone.
Me too.
In one of the sitcom's most powerful moments, we see Paige's struggle with her parents' divorce come out in literal tears, all thanks to this young actress.
I have to live in 2 separate houses, and my grandma says the meanest things about my dad. I know that everyone is upset that I'm not doing well in school. It's just hard to care.
Given her incredible gifts, it's no wonder we've been seeing more of her on film and television. Ghostbusters Afterlife, the Bad Seed movies, and Fuller House are just a few in what's becoming an impressive list of credits.
Really, I just feel alone. That sounds hard.
Number 12, Billy Gardell as Herschel Sparks. Throughout the run of The Big Bang Theory, we often heard Sheldon refer to his neighbor Billy Sparks, who tormented him.
Will Wheaton currently ranks 6th on my all-time enemies list, right between director Joel Schumacher, who nearly destroyed the Batman movie franchise, and Billy Sparks, who lived down the street from me and put dog poop on the handles of my bicycle.
When the spin-off prequel finally surfaced, we learned that perhaps older Sheldon didn't remember things as well as he'd like to think.
Hey.
Hey, Billy.
Is this fence window always here?
No, son, that's a new fence window.
Billy, albeit a bit clueless, seems like a decent kid. Perhaps part of that is due to his upbringing, courtesy of his father, mechanic and garage owner Herschel. Played by Mike and Molly comedian Billy Gardell, Herschel is one of the sitcom's best recurring characters. Though it's a more understated role on the whole, Gardell is fully able to flex his chops and deliver at every turn.
But your son, he doesn't need any tricks. He knows where the puncture holes are.
Knows?
He knows.
Number 11, Cyndi Lauper as herself. While fans loved seeing older Sheldon Cooper have one too many on The Big Bang Theory, a similar scene could never happen on Young Sheldon. Or could it? Turns out it sort of could.
How can I unify the 4 fundamental forces of the universe?
Now we're talking.
After getting to the verge of a major physics realization while unconscious, Sheldon is desperate to recreate the effects of anesthesia. He consumes a high-powered tea, and we find ourselves watching him hallucinate in his room.
Okay, Grand Unified Field Theory. Here I come.
Among the posters on the wall, we hear the iconic Cyndi Lauper educate Captain Proton on Gotthold Ephraim Lessing.
Who's Gotthold Lessing?
He's an 18th century German philosopher. Now, do you mind? We girls are trying to have some fun over here.
Apologies.
Sorry, Cyndi Lauper.
Our bad.
Did we ever expect to hear the girls just want to have fun singer bring a poster of herself to life? No, but we're very glad it happened. It's pretty funny stuff. Number 10, Steve Burns as Nathan. Even if this name doesn't ring a bell, you might still recognize Steve Burns as Steve from the Nickelodeon kids show Blue's Clues.
Who's your friend?
Oh, he's not a friend, he's a stranger. I met him on a Star Trek bulletin board.
On Young Sheldon, Burns plays Nathan, a middle-aged comic book nerd the title character becomes friends with, and someone Sheldon's Meemaw certainly doesn't appreciate her grandson being around at first.
Hello, I'm Nathan.
I'm gonna have to ask you to leave. Nathan.
Okay, but I'm taking my tape with me.
That's fine.
No, I need to see the end.
No, you don't.
Nathan ends up being a good casual friend for Sheldon, though he may be too old to be hanging out with a kid. Playing Nathan isn't the only contribution Burns has made to Young Sheldon, as he's also supplied the show's theme song, Mighty Little Man.
Well, he's dressed as Dr. Smith from Lost in Space.
Oh, I've never seen it.
Oh, well, you're not missing much. It was a lame kid show.
I'm sorry, lame kid show? For your information, Star Trek wouldn't exist without Lost in Space.
Number 9, Dave Foley as Gary O'Brien. This The Kids in the Hall member has appeared in a few episodes playing an obnoxiously wealthy businessman named Gary O'Brien.
My ultimate goal is to one day devise the Grand Unified Field Theory.
You're one of those, are you?
The university Sheldon attends initially wants him to dine with O'Brien in hopes that the businessman will cut the university a big check after meeting the prodigy.
Well, Kirk-Gödel's incompleteness theorems eliminate the possibility of a unified theory.
You honestly believe that?
However, our protagonist, not feeling that Mr. O'Brien is his intellectual equal, tells him off in blunt Sheldon-esque fashion.
Tell me more about how Einstein's life goal was nothing but folly.
Foley has since returned in the role, with the character becoming even more eccentric. It's great to watch Sheldon being forced to put up with O'Brien's absurdity.
I smiled and nodded like my Meemaw's Houston Oilers bobblehead.
And I also discovered a way that we could predict the masses of all the known particles using the Egyptian pyramids.
Number 8, Penn and Teller as acne vulgaris and pus.
This is just a pimple.
How can you be sure it isn't chicken pox, or smallpox, or monkeypox?
When Sheldon develops a pimple, the comedic duo appear, Penn as a personified version of acne, and Teller as his partner Pus.
Not benzoyl peroxide! I'm melting! I'm melting! Give me a break.
Together, they break down the significance and implications of Sheldon's situation as Penn discusses the details in a lively manner, while Teller sits quietly and plays off him.
But like a caterpillar transforming into a butterfly, things need to get a little weird along the way. How can people not like us?
According to TV Line, series co-creator Stephen Malero and the team thought Penn Jillette would be perfect when deciding who to bring on as the Zit. Watching the star's over-the-top delivery that manages to be both obnoxious and charismatic, we would have to say this casting decision was the right call.
That was awesome! And Pus is available for children's parties.
Number 7, Lance Reddick as Professor Boucher. The late actor manages to be both intimidating and hilarious as Sheldon's engineering professor, an armed services veteran who runs his class with discipline.
I'm aware that the class is now starting at 0901. Is it all right with you if I begin?
At first, Sheldon appreciates this strict teaching style.
Ooh, can I be number 1? That's what Captain Picard calls Commander Riker on Star Trek Next Generation.
You need to listen more and talk less.
But that also changes once it forces him to struggle with a difficult assignment. Sheldon rarely meets his match, so it's nice to see Reddick's character put him in his place without breaking a sweat.
Well, to start, this bridge is in pieces.
What do you mean?
It's a long-running gag in The Big Bang Theory that Sheldon had disdain for engineers, and Reddick's fantastic appearance helps explain the reason why that is.
When he realized it was locked, his face fell into shock and disbelief.
Nice. Show me. Do the face.
Number 6, Reba McEntire as June. In the 3rd season, this country music superstar made her debut on the show as June, a hairdresser and friend of Sheldon's Meemaw Connie.
That one's mine over there, Evan.
Oh, isn't that the coach's grandson?
With a successful acting career which included her own popular sitcom, McEntire and her folksy Southern energy are a natural fit for Young Sheldon and its Texas setting.
Well, did he tell you that I was naked when he locked me out?
No. Why did he do that?
Because I was trying to hit him with a golf club.
With her charming, bubbly personality on the show and in real life, Reba is always a delight to see whenever she stops by.
I got 3 bananas, and it asked me if I wanted to parlay, and I said, well, that sounds like fun, so I hit that button, and I went, woohoo, because I won.
Unfortunately, she doesn't bring her singing talent with her, as her character can't carry a tune in a bucket.
That is what we are. No one in between. How can we be wrong? Sail away with me.
Number 5, Jason Alexander as Gene Lundy. The comedy veteran plays Gene Lundy, an oddball drama teacher at Sheldon's high school.
I checked out a book on acting, so I should have the hang of it by then.
Well, I like that confidence.
Passionate about his craft, Mr. Lundy is up to play any role available, whether it's the Dark Lord Satan or Little Orphan Annie.
Pleased to meet you. I go by many names. Satan.
And he's not afraid to ham up his performance for the crowds, either.
Sun'll come out tomorrow. Bet your bottom dollar that tomorrow.
In later episodes, the character participates in business hustles such as creating an exercise tape and pushing a cosmetics pyramid scheme. Leave it to the man who played George Costanza on Seinfeld to give life to a character so shameless.
You kind of left out how greed is the root of all evil and how it corrupts the soul.
It's in there. It's called subtext.
Number 4, Bob Newhart as Arthur Jeffries, also known as Professor Proton. Newhart reprises his unforgettable role as Arthur Jeffries from The Big Bang Theory, for which he had won an Emmy.
Professor Proton, it's an honor to meet you.
Just call me Arthur.
In the pilot episode of Young Sheldon, we finally get to see Newhart play Professor Proton, the host of a science education show that Sheldon loved in his childhood.
Can a clock be powered by an ordinary potato? I hope so, boys and girls, but this is going to be a really boring episode.
And it isn't the character's only appearance either. Each time we see him, Newhart brings his classic straight-faced delivery to a man clearly living a life of quiet desperation.
Your mother wants you to swim. George.
Mom!
Who's ready to suck eggs?
This is one of the many callbacks that Young Sheldon has made to The Big Bang Theory, serving as a nice treat for viewers and providing a connection to the original show.
Today, we're going to learn about Sir Isaac Newton.
Hello, old friend.
Number 3, Ray Liotta as Vincent. Given the kind of tough guy, underworld roles Liotta typically played, Young Sheldon might have been the last place someone would expect him to guest star.
How you doing there, Connie?
Hey, Vincent. What brings you to Louisiana? Wait, don't tell me. You're here to see Tony Orlando.
Afraid not.
However, the Goodfellas actor was perfectly cast as Vincent, a shady bookie whom Connie runs into at a Louisiana casino.
Connie, you're putting me in a very awkward position.
I want a toaster oven playing Keno. You want it?
I got one. I want my money.
Liotta infused the part with the perfect balance of humor and grit, making us laugh while still respecting his imposing presence as he tried to shake down Sheldon's Meemaw.
Constance!
Patience, Vincenzo.
This appearance gave the late actor a chance to show a side of him audiences often didn't get to see in a light-hearted family sitcom, and it was great.
Will you take a down payment in quarters?
Do I have a choice?
Number 2, Elon Musk as himself. A few years after making appearances in shows like The Simpsons and The Big Bang Theory, Musk showed up in Young Sheldon's first season.
For the first time, SpaceX has successfully landed its Falcon 9 rocket on a drone ship in the Atlantic Ocean.
In a flash forward toward the end of the 6th episode, Musk borrows ideas from a notebook that Sheldon worked on when he was young for his SpaceX company. It goes without saying, but getting a tech billionaire and one of the richest men in the world is a big boon for the show. While there's no denying Musk is a controversial figure, he's at least able to poke fun at himself with this cameo.
Elon, the CNN reporter's here to talk to you.
Hang on. Send him in.
Number 1, Mayim Bialik as Amy Farrah Fowler. One great callback Young Sheldon has made to The Big Bang Theory is having main cast members from the original show on as guest stars. Simon Helberg, for instance, has returned as Howard to notably talk about engineering. What else?
Engineering has a rich and storied history, dating back to ancient times. Some consider it the single most important field of study known to man, from the wheel to the International Space Station, which I went to.
Honestly, this again?
Kaley Cuoco, for her part, showed us what she could do as pool water.
My pH level is 7.4, and with 3 parts per million of chlorine, I'm cleaner than your daddy's plate after Thanksgiving dinner.
Wow, that's pretty clean.
However, our favorite of these appearances has to be Mayim Bialik. She once again plays Amy Farrah Fowler, Sheldon's partner, as we hear her voice in the narration.
I wanted his name to be Leonard Nimoy Cooper, but Amy wouldn't let me.
Be happy I let you name him Leonard.
Okay.
Love you.
Love you too.
Her feisty personality is a great contrast to his stubborn attitude, and we love getting tastes of it on Young Sheldon just as much as we did on its predecessor.
Money is a frequent source of conflict in a relationship.
Thankfully, that's never been a problem for us.
It says the woman who took away my comic book allowance.
To start a college fund for our children.
Comic books are an investment.
Who's been your favorite guest actor on Young Sheldon?
So now what? We just return to our ordinary lives?
When a show like Young Sheldon has been on the air for so long, you best believe it has its share of recurring jokes. You know, running gags. Let's check out the best ones.
Okay, Connie, now you're just insulting me.
Well, that was not my intention, but I'm glad to hear it.
Welcome to Ms. Mojo, and today we're counting down our picks for the recurring jokes and motifs from this The Big Bang Theory prequel that have us laughing time and time again. Some plot points will be discussed, so this is your spoiler alert.
I think I hear it. You do? Yeah. It's coming out of your face.
Number 10. Connie's love entanglements. We absolutely love how young Sheldon portrays Connie Tucker as so much more than just the Cooper kids' Meemaw. She's a strong, spirited woman in her golden years, practically batting admirers away.
And Meemaw got a date with the coach.
What?
It was a productive afternoon.
Fortunately for us, this leads to ample hilarity as men practically fall off their chairs and get into fights over her. We've seen Dr. Sturgis facing off with Dale out of sheer jealousy, and even poor Ira got caught up in the love game more than once.
But you're still hung up on John, and I don't want to have my heart broken again, so I'm going to respectfully pass.
Unbelievable.
However, perhaps the funniest duels for Connie's heart take place between Dr. Sturgis and Dr. Linkletter. Honestly, seeing the lengths these two will go to win her affection never gets old.
No using Sheldon to win points with Connie.
But he likes me better than you.
That's why I brought it up.
Fine.
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 Number 9. Mary's Vices. Mary Cooper is a proud, God-fearing Christian who strives to live a virtuous life. Yet when she's especially stressed or agitated, she tends to fall back on some rebellious habits from her carefree youth.
Whoa, pace yourself, cowgirl.
I'm fine. Now, are we gonna shoot pool or not?
You bet.
Sheldon hinted at this in The Big Bang Theory, but seeing Mary in action is far more entertaining.
Mom smokes in the car. Jesus is okay with it, but we can't tell Dad.
Whether she's sneaking a secret smoke with Pastor Rob or knocking back some liquid courage, Mary proves that her defiant teen spirit is still alive and eager to come out and play. Seeing her let her guard down reveals a side of her that's both relatable and charming. We simply love these glimpses into her vibrant and multifaceted character.
We can always ask for forgiveness.
You have to really mean it.
Trust me, when I wake up with this taste in my mouth, I'll mean it.
I guess it reminds me of being young.
Number 8. The opening sequence. In the early days, the title sequence saw Sheldon donned in cowboy boots and armed with a briefcase, gazing into the distance. A cow comes along and momentarily breaks his focus as he sidesteps to safety. This reportedly represents Sheldon's anxieties in a world so different from his ideal reality. As the show progresses, Sheldon's family joins him, and the opening titles change to show more of his personality. We see him dress up as the Flash, Mr. Spock, and even his hero, Albert Einstein. Also, here's another running gag you might have missed. Unless, like Sheldon, you have Vulcan hearing, most of the episode titles appear as dialogue sporadically within their episode, typically shared between multiple characters.
Hobbit says, physics says, Homer says.
Number 7. Cooper Family Dinners. The dining table takes center stage for some of the show's most hilarious moments, providing a chaotic yet relatable glimpse into the family dynamics.
Okay, let's say grace. Now, Tam, when I say Jesus, feel free to say the word Buddha in your head.
In fact, in one of the very first scenes, Georgie and Missy kick off a food fight during a family dinner. The table hosts everything from marital disputes and sibling squabbles to debates over brisket recipes and black holes.
So if a black hole transports us to an alternate universe, would we even know it?
Probably not. Thus, it'd be as normal as boots on a cowboy. That is wild.
In one memorable episode, 2 uproarious dinners unfold simultaneously. Things get awkward at the Coopers as Georgie introduces Mandy to the adults. Meanwhile, next door at the Sparkses, Sheldon and Missy throw out some wild guesses about why everyone's suddenly acting so weird. Dinner scenes almost always dish up plenty of hilarity.
So, Mandy, glad you came?
Number 6. Sheldon vs. Paige. In The Big Bang Theory, Sheldon often recalls his friendless childhood, but young Sheldon offers some surprising contradictions. For instance, adult Sheldon talks about how Billy Sparks tormented him, but that doesn't exactly align with the hilariously special kid we meet in the prequel.
I have a nightlight that looks like Spider-Man, but I don't turn it on.
Go ahead.
Why don't you turn it on?
I'm afraid of spiders.
Anyway, one of his most captivating friendships is with Paige, another child genius. She starts out as a sweet kid who just wants to befriend her intellectual equal, but grows into a rebellious teen who relishes challenging Sheldon.
Aren't you even going to try?
No.
Why won't you compete with me?
Because it's fun watching you get upset.
What's fun about it? Everything.
Their relationship provides endless entertainment, especially when Paige stumps him, which is often. Sheldon likes to believe he's the only brainiac in town, so perhaps that's why he never mentions her in adulthood.
So, just to clarify...
They're right, you're wrong.
Dang it. How do you have more friends than me? I don't know. I don't even want them.
Number 5. Sheldon versus Pastor Jeff. Based on everything we know about Sheldon as an adult, it's hardly surprising that his need to always correct his educators became a running joke.
This boy does not belong in our school.
Come on, Vicky, it's just the first day. Why don't we all just take a deep breath here?
The hell with that. 5 minutes into my math class, he questioned my credentials.
While he often tested everyone's patience, he also had a habit of challenging Pastor Jeff's faith. While the pastor initially tries to humor him, he soon realizes that Sheldon might just be God's way of testing him.
The first day had just begun.
So before the Big Bang,
There was no Big Bang. There was only the word.
was the word kaboom?
At one point, Sheldon even announces he's starting his own religion, much to the pastor's dismay.
That's terrific, Sheldon, but this is a Baptist Sunday school.
I know. I'm here to convert everybody. Any takers?
Okay, let's go have a talk with your mom.
The only sin in mathology is being stupid.
Still, if you were ever concerned about the salvation of octopus aliens, Sheldon's got you covered. His curious mind receives mixed responses from his family, but always gets a big laugh from us.
What if an octopus Adam and Eve brought sin to their world? Would they be saved by a human Jesus or an octopus Jesus?
Number 4. Connie versus George. In-law relationships can be rather complicated, but if they're anything like George Cooper and Connie Tucker, they can also be hilarious. Connie makes no secret of how she feels about her son-in-law, and let's just say the resentment is mutual.
So I saw a lawyer today.
Why?
I'm putting together my last will and testament.
We're gonna miss you.
George, don't worry. I ain't leaving him squat.
That doesn't mean that they never get along, but those moments they butt heads are often the funniest. No one trades insults quite like this mother-in-law and son-in-law duo.
Mom, can you make the salad?
Sure.
Don't put any of those little tomatoes.
Hey, I don't tell you how to impersonate a lump of clay. You don't tell me how to make a salad.
At the end of the day, we have no doubt that they share a mutual respect and will always have each other's backs. However, their love language is basically barbed quips and endless teasing, and we're always here for it.
I could buy it for him, and then y'all could pay me back when you can.
Okay, Connor, now you're just insulting me.
Well, that was not my intention, but I'm glad to hear it.
Number 3. Missy's sass. Missy's quick wit and confident attitude makes her a standout character. She's no stranger to slinging out a few zingers, mostly at her family, and especially at Sheldon.
Did you look at the card inside? Why? That's just other people who checked out the book. It's a list of losers like you who can't find a friend.
In fact, on several occasions, she's even led her twin bro astray and then sat back and watched the train crash in action. Arguably, the most hilarious part is that she knows exactly what she's doing and how to play everyone like a fiddle.
That is it. You are grounded.
For reading the Bible?
The way you are doing it, yes. Go to your room.
Okay. I don't have a donkey, but if I did, I'd take my ass out of here.
As she enters her teen years, that sarcastic little cutie we came to know and love becomes even more savage and pushes boundaries more than ever.
Keep your eyes on your own papers.
I'm not cheating.
Well, that's not what it looks like.
I guess you would know what cheating looks like. Ask your husband.
But don't worry, that fiery spirit also comes in handy when she's defending her family. Number 2. Georgie's easy money schemes. Georgie isn't exactly the sharpest of the Coopers, and often he says things that might make you want to facepalm.
Maybe you should go across the street and apologize.
I can't do that.
Why not?
Because if I do, it sets a bad precedent.
What's Nixon got to do with it?
That being said, he builds quite the business acumen. Sometimes he'll come up with some wild money-making scheme that, to be honest, like George, we're very skeptical will work.
They're selling these for $1 each. I sell them for $5, and the money rolls in.
Does it worry you that the store selling these things is going out of business?
You have no vision.
However, time and time again, Georgie proves that he knows what the people want. Or at the very least, he knows how to make people think he knows what they want. We'll admit it, we often underestimate Georgie too. Can you blame us? Still, now that we know he has what it takes, we wouldn't say no to going into business with him.
I'm selling the same stuff for half the price. Cool. Oh, you got abba-zabbas? Do I have abba-zabbas?
Number 1. The Big Bang Theory callbacks. One of our favorite things about Young Sheldon is connecting the dots to the Big Bang Theory.
Honestly, this again?
Like, we don't hear about your Nobel Prize all the time.
It's not my fault people ask about it.
Because you're always wearing it. You have it on right now.
We've seen Sheldon discover comic books and video games and adopt his catchphrase Bazinga. Nods to Professor Proton. Sheldon's evolving style and soft kitty are like watching the puzzle pieces fall into place.
Soft kitty, warm kitty, little ball of fur.
There's a treasure trove of Easter eggs to explore, but that's another list, which we've done. Not all the links are so happy, but hey, Big Bang laid down the groundwork. Still, we felt as excited as Sheldon drawing up a contract when we saw the kid versions of his future pals. It's those moments that truly bring it all together.
Howard, turn off that Picasso game and go to sleep.
What's your favourite Young Sheldon recurring joke?
That is a really good idea.
Well, Young Sheldon puts the spotlight on, well, a young Sheldon Cooper. We're actually going to put the spotlight on his sassy Meemaw. Enjoy.
Is this my first day as Meemaw?
Welcome to Miss Mojo, and today we're counting down our picks for the times Sheldon's Meemaw proved that you never outgrow your saucy spirit. If you're still playing catch-up, this is your spoiler warning.
And how do you know who to trust?
You don't. That's what makes life interesting.
Number 10. She knows her best assets. When Sheldon's tormented by his next-door neighbor, the adults aren't exactly too sure how to handle it. He's endured most people's share of teasing, but there's just something different about the culprit. Luckily, Meemaw's there to remind the family that looks can be deceiving, and who knows that better than her?
She looks harmless. She's cute, so she probably gets away with stuff. I'm like that.
Indeed, throughout the series, Connie practically has to bat suitors away. For instance, during a book discussion, doctors Sturgis and Linkletter discover Connie is newly single and practically fall off their chairs trying to win her over.
I feel like I am all Asimov'd out. Let's hit the road.
Very well. We can kick off the next meeting with it.
Perhaps I can bake some cookies. I'm handy in the kitchen, you know.
I've had them, and they're dry.
However, she's about as impressed with their attempts as she is with the works of Isaac Asimov. Her face says it all.
If you'd ever like to discuss it further, I know the perfect Italian cafe. The cannolis are resplendent.
Resplendent.
Connie! John Sturgis here.
What a surprise. Number 9. Her Den of Sin. In Season 5, Connie buys out a laundromat that just happens to be a front for one of her favorite secret hangout spots. However, thanks to Dale's best intentions, she gets shut down before the business even gets off the ground, and she ain't happy.
Keep asking questions, see what happens.
Last one.
What?
How'd you get so pretty?
I hate you.
I like you.
Luckily, she has a rather entrepreneurial grandson with a plan. Unfortunately for her, he's more business savvy than she anticipated, and she takes no pains in letting him know.
We're in the gambling business. Why don't we gamble for it?
Okay.
Great. The number I'm thinking of in my head, is it odd or even?
How dumb do you think I am?
In my defense, you used to be dumber.
However, the funniest interactions take place between mother and daughter as Mary tries to lead her and Georgie away from their den of sin. Honestly, it's like Mary doesn't even know her own mother.
Oh, please, it's not a den of sin. Although that is a great name. Den of Sin. That would get some butts in seats.
Number 8. She's a proud Texan. Connie Tucker prides herself on many things, including being a proud Texan. In fact, several of her life lessons lean into what it truly means to be from the Lone Star State.
I'm gonna go get my video camera. Don't get him till I get back.
This is not a joke! Sheldon, get over here! Get over here! Sheldon!
In season 1, when Sheldon's germophobia goes into overdrive, she believes she has what it takes to coax him out of quarantine. Once she's done laughing at the spectacle, of course.
Mind if I take a crack at catching the Roadrunner?
What are you gonna do that I couldn't do?
A little trick I learned trying to get prairie dogs out of the hole.
However, when her plan to catch this Roadrunner with cookies fails, she turns to their proud heritage to set him straight. Amazingly, it works. Perhaps next, she can help the actual Wile E. Coyote with his Roadrunner too.
Now I want you to quit hiding in this plastic bubble, and I want you to come out here and eat your cookies out in the world like a man, like a Texan man.
We're sure he's an easier cookie to crack than her moon pie. Number 7, giving Mary a reality check. It's mentioned on occasion that Mary is the only one of Connie's kids with whom she has a relationship. Does that spare her from her mom's caustic tongue lashings? No. For instance, in season 1, when Georgie gripes about Sheldon's phone usage, she humorously pokes fun at her daughter's faith.
How come he gets to talk the phone and I can't? Because what is happening in there is called a miracle, and God-fearing people do not get in the way of those.
Later, when Sheldon asks permission to go to Houston with his high school friends, his mom isn't sure she likes the idea of him alone in a car with 2 teens. She asks for some motherly advice, only to get savagely burned instead.
Would you let me get in a car with a stranger when I was young?
Well, nobody ever asked you out, so it didn't really matter.
Of course, it's not the only time one of their mother-daughter heart-to-hearts comes with a side of red hot sauce.
Well, I'd point out you always have your husband, but you want me to be helpful.
Number 6. So many of her interactions with George Sr. Connie and George Sr. arguably have one of the series' funniest dynamics. She clearly doesn't think he's good enough for her daughter, and he barely tolerates being the target of her sharp wit.
I could buy it for him, and then y'all could pay me back when you can.
Okay, Connie, now you're just insulting me.
Well, that was not my intention, but I'm glad to hear it.
Still, their interactions provide endless entertainment. You think the in-law interactions in your family are unhinged? Get a load of this pair. Have your family ever almost waged a full-out war over a secret recipe?
What does it do to the brisket?
Oh, I have no idea.
Then why did you send George all the way to New Orleans?
Well, they don't sell this around here.
Especially to realize they handed the enemy the groundwork for a great elaborate prank. Connie's reluctant to share her brisket recipe, but she sure won't be taking his advice on salad making.
Can you make the salad?
Sure.
Don't put any of those little tomatoes.
Hey, I don't tell you how to impersonate a lump of clay. You don't tell me how to make a salad.
Their interactions can get fiery, but we sure do enjoy them. Number 5. A feisty round of Dungeons and Dragons. We would probably call Connie a gamer if that game were a slot machine at a casino, but she's no stranger to dabbling into Sheldon's gaming world either, and she goes harder than most Meemaws. Did yours ever sneak you out of school to play video games? We didn't think so.
What's the reason? His Aunt Imelda's not doing well. He's asked to see him before she goes.
Oh, I am so sorry. Does she want to see his older brother also?
No, she didn't like him as much.
Connie also shows us that D&D is more than just a game. It's a great way to sort out your love life, too.
You didn't want to steal the key. You didn't want to fight the goblins. You wouldn't even kill the spider. You put it in a cup and took it outside.
Well, that wasn't in the game.
I know. It was in real life, which is worse.
When Dale tries to reform his bad temper, Connie uses the fantasy role-playing game to lure out the old Dale, the one with whom she originally clicked. After plenty of baiting, Connie's thief successfully steals Dale's good nature.
Well, that's good, then. I don't have to pretend to be Mr. Water Drinking Nice Guy anymore.
That's what I've been trying to tell you.
Number 4. Messing with Pastor Jeff. If you lined up the Cooper-Tucker family by devotion to the Christian faith, Mary would steadfastly stand on one side, while Sheldon would sit unwaveringly on the other. Does that stop him from getting involved in church? Not even a little. And his Meemaw is more than happy to encourage his inquisitive mind.
But if God created the universe, wouldn't he want to save all of it?
Yes, he would.
Then why did you say Earth?
Earth is a synonym for the universe.
He's grabbing at straws now.
Is it because she believes asking questions is important? Or is it because she's interested in the salvation of octopus aliens, or whatever Sheldon's jabbering about this time?
What if an octopus Adam and Eve brought sin to their world? Would they be saved by a human Jesus or an octopus Jesus?
No, it's because she loves seeing Pastor Jeff and her daughter squirm.
The Lord. Yes, Connie.
My grandson has a question. Let her rip, kid.
Still, we have to wonder, would the pastor prefer Sheldon's incessant questioning or being doused by a fire extinguisher? Number 3, giving Missy a life lesson on gender equality. When Missy decides to join a baseball team, her dad asks around and eventually accompanies her to try out. However, the coach won't even give her a chance just because she's a girl.
Coach doesn't want a girl on his team.
And you were okay with that?
No, I tried. There was no changing his mind.
Where are you going?
To be mad at somebody new.
Missy's heartbroken, but Connie, who's also dealing with her heartache, refuses to take it lying down. She steps up to the plate and throws the coach a curveball he'll never forget.
Give her the same chance you would a boy.
Or what?
Or you and me gonna have problems.
Well, we wouldn't want that, would we?
Seriously, who wouldn't want a Meemaw like Connie in their corner? She's the ultimate MVP, unafraid to stand up for what's right. Thanks to Meemaw's feistiness, Missy knocks it out of the park.
I'm just a girl, but I think that's called a strike.
Not bad.
Connie also hits a walk-off victory of her own, rounding the bases with style.
She made the team.
Congratulations!
And Meemaw got a date with the coach.
What?
It was a productive afternoon.
Number 2, egging Dale's house with Georgie. Connie never misses a chance to throw some serious shade at the oldest Cooper sibling.
Can I have his allowance?
That allowance is for chores, which you already don't do.
Come on. We all know I'm your favorite.
You're not even his third favorite.
We get it. Sometimes he walks straight into them, and not firing back would be a missed opportunity.
Soon as I graduate high school, I'm going to be a professional male model.
That is hilarious.
What? I'm good looking.
No, that you think you'll graduate high school.
But don't get us wrong. She's also a fierce defender of her grandchildren. Following an argument with Connie, a foul-tempered Dale takes out his anger on Georgie and fires him. So, Connie encourages him to get revenge. Heck, she even joins him.
Ready for this?
Let's go. After you.
How many Meemaws do you know with that kind of spirit? Sure, she's already mad at Dale, but it's his mistreatment of Georgie that ultimately makes her crack. Now, she just wants to make him extremely sorry.
Woo! Good one!
Ain't mine neither.
Here's for firing my grandson.
Before we unveil our top pick, here are a few honorable mentions. How'd she deal with Sheldon's unacceptable language? Not exactly what our Meemaws had in mind when they told us to watch our tongues.
Poodle poo! Okay, somebody's got to teach this kid to swear. It's embarrassing.
A Meemaw's love is unconditional, most of the time. But sometimes kids just really make you rethink the part, don't they?
Why would you want to go to a funeral?
I've never been to one.
You get to be my age, you get to go to plenty.
That's like 100 years from now.
You make it hard to love you.
Stirring the coffee pot. The things we'll do for a good cup of joe.
If I wanted to make a cup of coffee, I'd have stayed at my house.
One day, I'm going to put you in a home and I'm going to smile just like that.
That's fine. By then, I won't know who you are anyway.
Child-proofing her language. She could teach a masterclass in double entendres.
Where are they going in such a hurry? Probably to unwrap their presents.
Something's getting unwrapped.
Told you.
Imparting invaluable life advice. She certainly doesn't mince her words.
Well, in my experience, most people stay the miserable bastards they are their whole entire life. But I have seen some folks change.
Number 1. Snapping Sheldon out of his existential crisis. Big Bang Theory fans know that Meemaw calls Sheldon moon pie because
I'm nummy, and she could just eat me up.
that doesn't mean she'll never revel in his misfortune.
It's not funny.
Oh, come on now. Sheldon in detention. That's funny.
Anyway, after a philosophy class sent Sheldon into an existential rabbit hole, Connie's left to snap him out of it. We know Sheldon can be difficult, but this is a whole other level. And this time, even a proud Texan speech can't turn things around.
When a Texan gets knocked off a horse, he gets right back on. That is the second most important thing about being a Texan, right after thinking you're better than everybody else.
When even Dr. Sturgis fails to inspire him, Connie decides to wing it.
If nothing is real, then neither is the chicken. Oh, good. We're standing now. That's progress.
It's funny how Sheldon's reality starts to come back into focus when faced with his feathered foe, isn't it? Connie Tucker sure doesn't cluck around. She might just be the sassiest chick in Medford.
Make it snappy.
This still doesn't solve my existential crisis.
Say what? You want to hold her?
No.
Less talk. More pants.
Which Connie moment do you think was so saucy you could have chopped up some hot dogs and thrown spaghetti at it?
I gotta find a cooler chick to talk to.
All right, get ready, because up next we're going to pull back the curtain a little bit and reveal some fascinating facts that make Young Sheldon the beloved sitcom that it is.
Anyway, auditions are next week. You're welcome to come on by.
Excellent. I checked out a book on acting, so I should have the hang of it by then.
Welcome to Ms. Mojo, and today we're counting down our picks for cool behind-the-scenes facts about Young Sheldon you might not know about.
Something that's making you question everything.
I'm so smart.
Number 10. Sheldon's music teacher was Leonard's drunken boat kiss. As we all know, Young Sheldon is a prequel series to The Big Bang Theory and takes place in the same world and timeline as the latter series. Therefore, the show's decision to cast Lance Barber as Sheldon's father after he'd played Leonard's old bully from high school on The Big Bang Theory is still something that gets talked about quite a bit.
Great to see you again, and thanks for the apology.
What apology?
For all the crappy stuff you did to me in high school.
Well, geez, you're still harping on that?
But that isn't the only recasting connection between the two shows. Mandy Tang, who played young Sheldon's music teacher, Miss Fenley, also was Leonard's drunken boat kiss Mandy Chow on Big Bang.
You know, what we did when we were drunk.
Oh no, did I sleep with you too?
Nope, we just made out.
Oh, well, good for me.
Magician Teller played Amy's father, then played personified Puss on Young Sheldon. And finally, Vernee Watson played Nurse Althea on Big Bang and Nurse Robinson in the prequel.
Oh, it's Cooper again. Can you take it?
Number 9. Why Reagan Reverd carries around a stuffed dog toy. His name is Snowflake, and he is a white stuffed dog that actress Reagan Reverd has had since she was 5 years old.
The name of your future pony is Sparkle Sunshine. I would totally name it that.
Reverd, who plays Sheldon's twin sister Missy on Young Sheldon, actually had her eyes on Snowflake from the time she was 3 years old, but was told she was too young.
When I was 3, I asked for Snowflake, and my great-grandmother was like, not yet, you're too young. And so when I got Snowflake, I was so excited.
The dog is one of many antique stuffed animals that her great-grandmother collected, and after she passed away, it made its way to her grandmother's house. Then on her 5th Christmas, young Reverd was finally gifted the toy.
She was my great-grandmother's.
Really?
And I had actually wanted her, but when she died, my great-grandfather, before he passed away, went over and got her for me for Christmas.
As of 2020, she revealed in interviews that she was still sleeping alongside the dog every night. You can even sometimes see Snowflake on Missy's bed on the show. Number 8. Sheldon's 2 moms are related. The character of Sheldon's mother was an important part of The Big Bang Theory, and Laurie Metcalf played her wonderfully, appearing in 14 episodes throughout the series' run.
If Shelley was aboard, he'd write smart mouth on his pigeon. And then, BAM!
The Lord giveth and the Lord bloweth away.
And sure, getting Metcalf to play Mary Cooper in the prequel series would have been great. But given that Young Sheldon takes place 2 decades prior to the start of Big Bang, that probably wasn't realistic.
Soft kitty, warm kitty, little ball of fur. Happy kitty, sleepy kitty, purr, purr, purr.
So, instead of making Metcalf younger, they went and got a younger version of her daughter. Yep, Zoe Perry, who plays Mary Cooper on Young Sheldon, is Laurie Metcalf's oldest daughter.
Didn't Oscar Wilde say all women become their mother?
It's happening sooner rather than later. I definitely called her up as soon as I knew that there was an audition in place. We were very excited.
Number 7, the cow in the opening sequence. The song used for the Young Sheldon opening sequence was written by the original Blue's Clues host Steve Burns and is called Mighty Little Man. And while Sheldon does have a mighty brain and a mighty ego, he's also scared of a lot of things, particularly animals.
Dad, Sheldon got hurt.
How?
A chicken chased him into a mailbox.
Of course it did.
Which brings us to the cow. Not only does the cow serve to indicate the show's cattle-raising Texas setting, but the way it forces the mighty Sheldon to move over slightly also has been theorized to represent his fears. The intro has changed a few times throughout the run of the series, but the bovine has remained. And speaking of Steve Burns, he plays fellow nerd Nathan on the show.
Who's your friend?
Oh, he's not a friend, he's a stranger. I met him on a Star Trek bulletin board. He had a copy of the episode Georgie taped over and brought it here.
Hello, I'm Nathan.
Number 6, Sabrina the Teenage Witch directed. While most of us wouldn't be able to pick a director of most Young Sheldon episodes out of a lineup, that certainly isn't the case for the 17th episode of Season 3.
You're getting a special thanks in the footnotes.
No one reads the footnotes.
I do?
Well, I do too, but that doesn't mean I want to be in them.
Sheldon, that's where people get recognition for helping.
The episode titled An Academic Crime in a More Romantic Taco Bell aired on March 5th, 2020, and was directed by Melissa Joan Hart. Yep, everyone's favorite teenage witch was at the helm for that episode.
My life has become such an adventure that Sabrina's World will never be canceled.
And while that was her first time in the Young Sheldon director's chair, through the show's first 6 seasons, she ended up directing multiple episodes.
So I could really use your help making it look more professional. Like, adding a little,
I think the word you're looking for is pizzazz.
That wasn't the first celebrity director the show had, though. The series' pilot episode was directed by none other than the creator of The Mandalorian, Jon Favreau. Number 5, The Wonder Years inspiration. The decision was made to use narration as a key storytelling device on Young Sheldon, but executive producer Chuck Lorre had never used it in a show before.
Of course, nobody I knew in East Texas in 1989 cared about Newtonian physics. The only Newtons they cared about were Wayne and Fig.
Knowing how narration can greatly change how creators write, Lorre and the gang looked for inspiration and help in figuring it all out.
Okay, we're off on a tangent. I'm taking over. Money can be a source of conflict in a relationship, even having too much.
Why, hey, this is my story.
I know. Jealous?
And what better place to go than The Wonder Years, the classic show from the 80s and 90s about a boy growing up in the 60s and 70s. As Lorre put it, quote, "We looked for inspiration that used it beautifully, and no one did it better than The Wonder Years."
There, that's me. Kevin Arnold, 1968. The summer before junior high school. There we go. And I don't mind saying I was a pretty fair little athlete.
Number 4, Ian Armitage's audition. Ian Armitage was 9 years old when he was cast in the role of the titular Young Sheldon. But even more impressive than just his age was the feat he pulled off at his audition.
Hey, how'd the audition go?
Great, I got the lead.
Of course, we all know that actors have to memorize lines, but Armitage had to memorize more than just a few lines for his audition. The 9-year-old had to be off-book on a 3-page monologue.
All these kids are coming in with it, and they were all really good, but Ian is the kid who's playing Sheldon, and his tape came in, and it was just kind of mind-blowing.
Needless to say, he nailed it and got a callback soon afterwards. And after meeting with Jim Parsons and co-creators Steve Malaro and Chuck Lorre, he got the job. Parsons even took Armitage under his wing and helped him really get the Sheldon character down pat.
He's such an incredible Sheldon coach, which is sort of a given.
You don't need much coaching. Oh, look at us working together.
Yeah, look at you.
Those were the days.
So
You're off on your own.
Number 3, Kaley Cuoco was Sheldon's nightmare pool. Over the course of the series, a number of actors from The Big Bang Theory have made voice cameos on Young Sheldon.
Like, we don't hear about your Nobel Prize all the time.
It's not my fault people ask about it.
Because you're always wearing it. You have it on right now.
Look how shiny it is.
Just tell your story.
Usually, the character they voice is the same one they played on the original series, but not Kaley Cuoco. As we all know, Cuoco played Penny throughout the entire run of The Big Bang Theory. But when we finally heard her voice on Young Sheldon, it wasn't as Penny, but rather as a swimming pool.
Ugh.
Why don't you like me?
You're full of bacteria.
So are you, but you don't hear me saying ugh. It's rude.
Or more specifically, the talking swimming pool in Young Sheldon's nightmare.
Come on, my pH level is 7.4, and with 3 parts per million of chlorine, I'm cleaner than your daddy's plate after Thanksgiving dinner.
Talk about a role to dive into. Number 2, the show was Jim Parsons' idea. Young Sheldon probably wouldn't be a show if it wasn't for Jim Parsons.
But I'm already making one. I have an investor lined up and everything.
Well, you're still more than welcome to join us, and we can all work on it together.
No, this is my idea, and I'm doing it on my own.
And we mean that in a number of ways. If Parsons hadn't been so brilliant originally as Sheldon, The Big Bang Theory would not have been such a hit, and a prequel spin-off would not have even crossed anyone's mind. However, in a much more literal sense, there would probably never have been Young Sheldon without Parsons, because Young Sheldon was Parsons' idea.
We were going with my nephew. That was the first thing. He's a 10-year-old, he's 11 now, in Texas, he's very smart. And as we started talking about it, it was like, well, this is describing a Young Sheldon, or it could be.
It was he who brought the concept of a Big Bang Theory prequel about his character to the producers and set the Young Sheldon ball in motion.
Now just make sure it's really you watching this, not an imposter. What am I thinking of? On the count of 3. 1, 2, 3.
Robot Monkey Butler.
Number 1, Ian Armitage hadn't watched The Big Bang Theory. For most of its run, The Big Bang Theory was one of its most watched shows on television. But one of the people not watching the series was Ian Armitage.
Why can't we watch DuckTales? Because we don't learn anything watching DuckTales. It's TV. We aren't supposed to learn.
Now, to be fair, Armitage was born in 2008 and The Big Bang Theory premiered on CBS in 2007. However, even as he was going for the lead role in Young Sheldon, Armitage still hadn't watched the Mothership series.
Fine, what would you rather do as a scene study?
I'm glad you asked. I took the liberty of adapting a Star Trek fan fiction novella I wrote when I was 10 into a one-act play.
As he revealed in an interview in 2018, the year after Young Sheldon premiered, other than a few clips, quote, "I haven't really watched Big Bang, though I would love to see it. Aww."
But I want you to know, in my way, I love you all.
Which Young Sheldon factoid shocked you the most?
Also, if gravity were slightly less powerful, the universe would fly apart and there'd be no stars or planets.
Where are you going with this, Sheldon?
I can't think of a better way to end things today than with a look back at all of Young Sheldon's callbacks to its parent series, The Big Bang Theory.
If it's funny, it's Bazinga. Interesting.
Welcome to Ms. Mojo, and today we're counting down our picks for the top 10 The Big Bang Theory callbacks in Young Sheldon.
Sing it again, Mom.
First, blow your nose.
For this list, we'll be looking at the best moments and scenes from this prequel series that were a clear nod to its predecessor. What's your favorite Young Sheldon moment? Number 10, Billy Sparks. In the pilot episode for Young Sheldon, viewers were treated to one of the first references to the Big Bang Theory.
Go play. If only life were that simple.
As Sheldon goes outside to play, he encounters Billy Sparks, a not-so-friendly neighbor. When Billy scares Sheldon with a live chicken, the protagonist runs frantically to the house while screaming in terror.
Hey, doofus!
Avid viewers of The Big Bang Theory will remember older Sheldon telling over-the-top stories about having been harassed by the one and only Sparks.
Will Wheaton currently ranks 6th on my all-time enemies list, right between director Joel Schumacher, who nearly destroyed the Batman movie franchise, and Billy Sparks, who lived down the street from me and put dog poop on the handles of my bicycle.
We'd go on to see more of Sparks in the prequel series, but this sequence connects the two shows from the jump.
Age 7, a bloodthirsty chicken chases me up a tree.
Number 9, the Caltech cafeteria. This entry is unique because it's a callback to a very specific location from the Big Bang Theory. When young Sheldon gets a chance to travel to Pasadena to see Stephen Hawking in the 3rd season, we're given a look into his future as he visits Caltech.
Imagine all the stimulating conversations that must go on at these tables.
I bet.
I can see myself going here one day.
I think you'd fit right in.
While he and his father stand at an open doorway, the camera pulls back, and we see the cafeteria where countless debates would ensue between him and his friends.
My cousin has a cabin out in the woods.
I'm not going to a cabin in the woods. Did you see the movie Cabin in the Woods?
Fans always knew Sheldon would end up at the research university, so it's extra nice to see the genesis of it all. Number 8, hot beverages. One of the best recurring characters on Young Sheldon is Paige Swanson, a friendly rival to Sheldon, portrayed by the amazing McKenna Grace.
Do you think Stone Age parents stayed together forever? They had to. There were no lawyers.
An incredibly touching moment unfolds in season 3 when Paige opens up to Sheldon about why she's having a hard time.
Really, I just feel alone. That sounds hard.
Though the protagonist could come off cold, we see his softer side as he expresses compassion for his friend. Then he offers her something we all knew was coming.
The hot beverage of comfort would become my go-to method of dealing with someone in emotional distress.
Indeed, over 12 seasons of The Big Bang Theory, we'd see him deliver such an offering to many friends, whether they wanted it or not.
It's when a friend is upset, you offer them a hot beverage, such as tea.
Tea does sound nice.
You heard the man, Leonard.
Number 7, dream of becoming Gollum. We all need to take a break from our daily routines from time to time. Young Sheldon opts for a breather from science by taking in the likes of the Lord of the Rings books. In doing so, he becomes obsessed with picking apart the story's inconsistencies.
He says that it's Mid-Year Stay Shire year 1418. However, in Appendix B, it says that Gandalf met Radagast on June 29th, which is impossible because, hey!
It's here we see him in a dream sequence talking to himself as Gollum/Smeagol.
If our brains is precious, we're wasting it on hobbitses. We like sciences. We took a break from sciences. It was making us crazy.
On the surface, it's a cute joke, but to the keen observer, it's a callback to the Big Bang Theory's season 3 episode where the boys fight over a prop ring from the films.
Give us the precious.
More specifically, we're talking about the moment when Sheldon peers into a mirror and sees Gollum looking back at him in a dream.
My precious.
Number 6, George's infidelity. The Big Bang Theory's Sheldon Cooper would often mention issues he had with his father throughout the show's many seasons. For instance, in the hot tub contamination, we learned that his 3-knock habit only came to be after he caught his dad George cheating on his mother.
When I opened the door, I saw my father having relations with another woman.
That's awful.
I know.
It's also why I never open a door without knocking 3 times.
The end of Young Sheldon's 4th season sees George spending time with his neighbor Brenda, and sparks between the two can be seen.
Oh, hey, Brenda. What brings you out tonight?
Just needed to get out of the house.
I hear that.
Want some company?
It may not be the exact moment older Sheldon refers to in the parent show, but it's certainly a nod in the same direction.
I just wanted to let you know I invited Brenda over for a big thank you dinner.
Number 5, favorite spot.
Penny, that's where I sit.
Whether it's a spot at the dinner table, cafeteria, or somewhere else, many people have a place where they prefer to sit. Of course, anyone who's seen The Big Bang Theory is aware that Sheldon takes ownership of his spot to a whole new level on numerous occasions.
What's the difference?
What's the difference?
Here we go.
His attachment to the seat at the end of the couch is no laughing matter to the man.
Something's wrong.
So when he finds Tam sitting at the end of a cafeteria table on Young Sheldon, we're given a callback to the original series.
You're sitting in my spot.
Why is it your spot?
It's complicated, just move.
In case anyone was wondering, Sheldon has been staying true to himself since he was young. Number 4, George's fate. Throughout The Big Bang Theory, Sheldon mentions his dad's difficulties with alcohol, his failing health, and his passing.
Does your dad still live in Texas?
No, he died when I was 14.
I'm sorry to hear that.
So was the man who owned the local liquor store.
Given the time frame that Young Sheldon takes place in, audiences know it's probably only a matter of time before we see George succumb to his fate.
Any numbness or pain in your arms?
Maybe this one.
Shortness of breath? Enough questions.
The first hint of it comes in the 3rd episode of the 1st season, where he ends up in the hospital with heart pain. Another cardiac episode occurs at the start of season 5, which also coincides with his meetup with the aforementioned Brenda.
Hey, George.
Brenda?
Are you okay?
It's a connection to the parent show that won't go away, and sadly, we know things will only get worse. Number 3, Bazinga. Fun fact, The Big Bang Theory writer Stephen Engel has reportedly been credited as the originator of Sheldon's famous Bazinga quip. He apparently used to use it himself before it was thrown into the show.
That's a bazinga, right?
Heard when Sheldon tells a joke or pulls a prank, it's become perhaps the single most recognizable word from the show.
Bazinga, punk, now we're even.
So it's no surprise that the prequel gave the legendary word an origin story. Sheldon's younger self wanders into a comic store and finds a display filled with prank products from the Bazinga Novelty Company.
If it's funny, it's Bazinga. Interesting.
The rest is history, as he begins to prank his friends and family, all while uttering his famous catchphrase.
Bazinga!
Number 2, Soft Kitty. Ask any fan of The Big Bang Theory to name 5 memorable things from the show. We bet Soft Kitty will make the list. Penny and Sheldon shared many memorable moments of either of them singing this cute lullaby to each other over the years.
Sing Soft Kitty to me.
Soft kitty is for when you're sick. You're not sick.
Fans were even treated to Sheldon's mother, Mary, singing it to him.
Soft kitty, warm kitty, little ball of fur.
So when young Sheldon finds himself bedridden and sick as can be, everyone watching knew exactly what Mary was about to do.
Soft kitty, warm kitty, little ball of fur.
As she sings the song to her son, fans everywhere are reminded of him laying in bed as an adult, convincing Penny to sing him to sleep.
Soft kitty, warm kitty,
little ball of fur. Keep rubbing.
Before we unveil our top pick, here are a few honorable mentions. He has been tested, reminding his brother and anyone else who might be wondering.
Good news. I just spoke to Tommy Clarkson.
What? Are you crazy?
Nope. Mom had me tested.
The voice of Penny. Kaley Cuoco, also known as Penny, did the voice of the pool.
My pH level is 7.4, and with 3 parts per million of chlorine, I'm cleaner than your daddy's plate after Thanksgiving dinner.
Wow, that's pretty clean.
Meemaw / Moon Pie. Her name may be Connie, but to us, she'll always be Meemaw.
Dr. Linkletter invited me to a lecture on robotics, but my Meemaw said he's only doing it to spend time with her.
Are you asking if men do sketchy things to get dates?
Yes.
Well, then I can help you. Absolutely.
Number 1, their younger selves. Since Young Sheldon focuses on the titular character's youth, it precludes him from being able to interact with his future friends.
In that moment, I felt like a neutrino, destined to be alone forever.
However, on the night of the final episode of The Big Bang Theory, Young Sheldon also aired their season 2 finale, and the prequel show gave us the greatest nod to the original we could have asked for. As younger Sheldon cries over being alone at his Nobel party, the scene transitions.
Leonard, dear, you should be in bed.
We're given a sneak peek at Leonard, Penny, Raj, Howard, Bernadette, and Amy, all as their younger selves. Sure, we already knew Sheldon wouldn't end up alone.
Howard, turn off that Prakashta game and go to sleep.
But who doesn't get misty-eyed seeing all his greatest friends, knowing the best was yet to come for all of them?
Thankfully, I was wrong.
All right, well, that's going to do it for this special deep dive into all things Young Sheldon. Hope you enjoyed yourself. I definitely did. I've been Matt from WatchMojo, and I'll see you next time.
Did you enjoy this video? Check out these other clips from WatchMojo, and be sure to subscribe and ring the bell to be notified about our latest videos.